Greetings traders, this is Houston Trong from thetradingedge.org, and here is your weekly market outlook for Jan 25th to 29th, 2020. And so, welcome me back. It has been a while since I've recorded one of these videos. I still continue to do this process for my own private trading, but I will start recommencing these videos on occasionally sharing them. I'm not sharing all these videos, but I do want to drop some on a fairly regular basis around what I believe to be important inflection points. So this video here I'm sharing because we're really getting into the meat of the earnings season here, and let's take a look and see what the current market outlook looks like, or the current market conditions look like, and what we can expect in terms of an outlook for the next month or so. So next week, next month. So let's first get into the macro news, then we'll get into the earnings announcements that are on the calendar. This week it is going to be a fairly busy news cycle week. We have a lot of stuff on the calendar worth paying attention to, and the market right now seems to be more driven by the corona vaccine news and the numbers coming out of that than actual corporate earnings. So that's something to watch for, to see if that particular narrative continues or not. You always want to be watching to see what the market responds to, and right now it appears that the market's responding more to the corona vaccine numbers versus the actual corporate earnings. But we're getting into the heart of earnings season now, so let's see if that changes. So this week you also got the Fed announcement on Wednesday. So Wednesday will be a busy day. Fed announcement at 2 p.m. Then the press conference at 2:30. Thursday, busy day. GDP 8:30. Then you also got that jobless claims number, that 1-2 punch, which will definitely create some volatility in the markets. And you also have the new home sales at 10 o'clock that same day. In terms of corporate earnings, if we look at the calendar there, it really kicks. Things really get busy on Tuesday. So Monday, nothing too material there, nothing too market moving. But on Tuesday, you got AMD, high beta tech name, Microsoft reporting, GE, Starbucks will be interesting to watch, Freeport, good one to watch as well, Texas Instruments. So all good names to watch. Then on Wednesday, we got Apple, Tesla, Facebook, Boeing, Las Vegas Sands, another good one to watch. And take a look at your earnings calendar there. Over 100 names reporting that day. Tuesday, American Airlines, Visa, Southwest, so LUV, WDC, lots of names reporting that day. Over 125 names. So put that on your calendar in terms of a busy earnings day. And then finally Friday we got CAT and Chevron and more. So there's definitely lots to trade around this coming week. So definitely be very mindful of what is on the earnings calendar and what you're deciding to take overnight. With that being said, let's jump into the charts now, and let's do our weekly review and outlook for the coming week. So as we always do, we begin with the Vix chart. And the Vix chart, let's begin here. The macro picture. I'm not going to go into every single time frame like I've done in the past. I'm going to try to make these videos shorter where I can. And I'm just going to look for things that I think are going to be actionable versus just simply going over the charts. So interestingly, if you look at the longer term chart on the VIX VXX instrument here, on the 3-month chart, look at this thing. It's slowly been doing the outside inside to the downside, right? We've been watching this for a long time, way back in 2020, when this thing brought outside, inside, and down. And the question was, to complete the pattern, it needs to take out that low there, the low being 1315. And the question was, is it going to be able to do that before you see a spike in volatility? We were talking about this mid last year. We're saying, we got a lot of stuff coming in Q4 of 2020. There's going to be the elections. There's going to be earnings. There's going to be the continued pandemic news, especially if there's going to be a bigger outbreak around a second wave, third wave, etc. Is the VIX going to be able to stay down? And in fact, it has. That's the interesting thing here, is that it's playing out this pattern, the outside, inside, down. And we've had now 1, 2, 3 consecutive quarters of lower lows. So now that 1315 area here looks very reasonable. We're at, where are we at now? 1640 area. $3 to go. And we got a new president now. Joe Biden's in the office. And if volatility begins to continue to ebb out of these markets, there's no reason to believe that we won't see that low taken out. If you recall, after the last U.S. elections, the new president, Trump at the time, we had about 6 months of an up move. So we had 2 consecutive quarters of just pure gains for the S&P. So if we can see that type of thing play out, where we have maybe again 2 quarters or a good quarter of gains for the S&P, this very well could take out the lower end of that outside bar. So there is your quarterly chart on the VIX. On the monthly chart, again, just a steady bleed to the downside. Again, 1315 will put you at January's lows of 2020. So this coming week, this is what I'll be watching for. Really tight stuff this past week. The VIX is, basically trading right at this level here, and it's tapping it consistently. The 1320 area, sorry, the 1630 area. So right around here, we closed at 1640. But you can see this whole area here, this level right there, 1630, is an area that keeps tapping into and popping off of. So can these sellers now break below there and hold below there? If you can, that will probably act as a new level of resistance if we can break below there. Otherwise, we can see that pop up. We have a really, really tight now inside bar. So right now we went outside, bar and down, Momo to the downside, but the bars popped it back up again, creating a green week last week, and then inside bar. So where does this inside bar, how does it resolve this coming week? It's going to resolve, and the question is, how does it resolve? It could easily pop up, right? It can go inside bar up like we saw a few weeks ago. Just knowing the VIX so far, right? Look at the history of the VIX. It has a history of fading, right? So if it pops up, you know what I'm going to probably do? I'm going to fade it. I'm going to keep fading it until it stops working. So here, right, you pop up like we saw back here. It gapped up, went outside, inside, and up. It gapped up, and then they faded it back down again. Same thing here. If it pops back up, expect at some point the sellers will likely sell it off again and come back down. So the question is, do we have a fade type of scenario, or is the market simply just, or the VIX simply just, sell off by going inside bar and down? That's what we're watching for. But the longer term charts, that's where we started with the 3-month, is it's down. So we expect this thing to continue to melt. It's not going to be a smooth line though. As you can see, it's very, very choppy now. So it's not that easy of a trade. We simply want to be orienting ourselves around the larger time frame charts. These shorter time frame charts, very, very choppy. Okay, so let's go to the SPY chart now. SPY, big picture first, and then we'll get to the lower stuff. Once I finish the SPY, the rest of the indices pretty much look the same, so you don't have to go into every single time frame on every single index. But this is the picture that's been playing out for most of the indices. You have something like this. It's a 3-month chart, okay? Outside, inside, and up. 3 consecutive green quarters in a row now. Look at this. That's an outside, inside, up pattern on the quarterly. Same thing on the monthly. Outside, inside, and up. 3 consecutive months up. So exactly the same pattern happening on the quarterly chart and the monthly chart. Okay, so that's what's playing out now. Right now, no reason to believe with 1 trading week left in January, no reason to believe that this thing will continue just to grind higher and we see a multi-month move for the SPY like we did after the Trump elections. Okay, so let's go here now and go to the weekly chart. Does anything I want to share here? Yes. The weekly chart, we also did an outside, inside, and up. So that outside, inside, and up is playing itself out here. Outside, inside, and up. Okay, and if you're long, if you're long, or if you have longs in the market, this is what you do not want to see. If you're long, you do not want to see that low here get taken out, because that turns into an inside bar reversal to the downside, and that could potentially turn the month red. That's a lot of work for the sellers to have to do, and there's no reason to believe that that will happen right now, just based upon the narratives that are playing out. But that's what you want to look out for. That would be your sort of canary in the coal mine, where if all of a sudden you have an inside bar reversal to the downside here, all right, you get that low taken out this past week, it's not something you definitely want to pay attention to. That's a weakness, and that should not play out that way if the buyers are actually in control. All right, so that's the level you want to be looking at, that outside, inside, and up. Do not want to see that reverse. 2-day chart, it's Momo up. Even though we had a 2-day red bar here on the 2-day chart, it's still Momo up. Momo up, up. So that's a higher high here as well. Okay, so right now, until you get a lower low taken out, the Momo is still to the upside. Qs look remarkably the same, as do most of the other indices. Again, I'm not going to go through all of them, but we got Momo up condition in Qs. There's a reason why the markets are flying. The price is telling you that across all the major time frames, they're aligned. That's Momo up, right? So 4 consecutive quarters of momentum to the upside now on Q. So that means we've had a full year of momentum to the upside. That's Momo up. Okay. Monthly chart, Momo up. Look, whoops. Momo up, up. 2 consecutive months now of higher highs. Okay. Now on the weekly chart, we got the outside, inside, and up. So why did markets go gangbusters this week? Well, this is what it looks like when markets go gangbusters after breaking out of a pattern like that. It goes outside, inside, and up. Just like a SPY, you don't want to see this thing get reversed on by taking out that low there. It'd be very difficult for that to happen. It was up 4.3% this past week alone. So in order for that to reverse, it had to come right through that range again, take out that low, and then break down. So that would be something quite interesting to watch. You'd have plenty of time to see that because it's probably not going to happen in one session. But that's what you want to watch out for if you're along. You do not want to see that low get taken out this week. Otherwise, that changes the narrative at the price action quite a bit. So that's what you see on the Qs there. 2-day chart, you got a Momo up situation just like the SPY, Momo up. And the daily chart, very tight Friday. Okay, so we did have options expire. Some options expire on Friday as they always do, but that was a really tight day for the Qs. So the question is, how does that thing break now on Monday or Tuesday? Does it break to the upside? If it's so, that's a continuation of the Momo up move on the weekly chart. Let's go on to Dow. Anything interesting with Dow? Dow, yeah, putting in some higher highs this month. So right now you have Momo down, up, up, 3 consecutive months of higher highs. You got a Momo up condition on the Dow here on the weekly, just not very impressive because they're ending the week's red, but you are getting higher highs each week. And until you can get a lower low, meaning this low gets taken out, so this coming week, if that low gets taken out, that will extinguish this Momo up move. So that's something you want to watch for, just like we saw with the SPY and the Qs. However, this is a Momo up condition. And here on the 2-day, just like we have the other indices, it is Momo up as well. So if you break below that low there, you're likely going to take out the prior week's low right there. So that's what you want to see. Does Dow get materially weaker before the other indices or not? Russell. Russell, gangbusters to the upside, had a really strong close on Friday, closing right at the 215 strike. So that option expiry really pinned it right to the 215 mark. And here's what you want to look at here. You got a Momo up situation here on the Russell. So once again, how far does the Momo up go? You do not want to simply fade this thing and step in front of it to try to short it because you're going to get run over. Frankly, it's easier to wait for the price action to bear itself out versus try to take a short and hoping that your stop's not going to get hit. Just wait for the weakness to show up. You have plenty of time to get in if the trade works, right? But people enjoy calling tops. They enjoy trying to time those tops, and it is how it is. So for now, though, if you really if you want to be patient about it, it's a Momo up condition. Momo is going to resolve itself when it breaks that low. Otherwise, the trend's higher. You don't fight that trend if unless you really want to. But I'm going to choose not to fight that trend and let the price come to me. And then all I need to do is collect the chips when they're in one corner of the table versus trying to spread versus being all spread out and I have to do a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of work to try to collect them. So for now, the chips are to on one side of the corner right now. They're basically in the hands of the buyers. The buyers are not relenting right now. So look at that strong close on the 2-day chart. That's a momentum hammer on the 2-day chart. The buyers had lost a bit of control here when it went Momo upside reversal short to the downside, but they bought it right back again, closing really strong on that Friday close. And full control. So I expect that if you break above this high, you're going to get higher price action on the Russell. TSX, what's our friend the Canadian stock market doing? Going into all-time highs. So it did break above there, high of 1799.70. We did break above there at 18.058. This is the pattern we've been playing out, waiting to play out for a long time. It finally did it, right? We'd drawn this months ago, outside, inside. Question is how long is it going to take to take out that high there, and it finally did it this past quarter. Took out that high. Does it have much energy left in it? Probably does, but it is getting again choppy because this is what you're looking at here on the weekly chart: outside, inside, outside. So this stuff here now you do have to, you're fighting this big mother bar, because right now the price is constrained inside of this big bar here. So outside, inside, outside now. Now a break of this range here could be significant because the bars and sellers were fighting it out here. Now break above that high will probably take out that high there. Break below that low, maybe come back down here. We'll see what happens. Okay, so that's TSX, and you got a Momo down situation now on the TSX. Do you get continued momentum to the downside, or do you pop back up and come back out here and go back higher? Emerging markets, this thing has just been gangbusters. It's a very similar chart to the TSX, however. It finished the outside-inside pattern on the quarterly chart way earlier. It did it last quarter, so we draw that, again, early last year, way back here, back in what was that? That's Q1, this is Q2. So sorry, Q3. Yeah, we drew that Q2. This is Q3 when it popped and basically took out that high in Q4, and then went to all-time highs here. And is it all-time highs? We're really close. Yes, we did it. So look in Q1 here with all-time highs in emerging markets. No reason to believe that this thing will go even higher. The price action right now is to the upside, and it would be very difficult for the sellers at this point to turn this month red with 1 week left. Okay, so emerging markets continues to drift higher. Let's go on to bonds now. TLT. So TLT, what we're looking at here is, if you look at this pattern here, we identified this last year. It just takes time to play out because bonds have been moving so slow. They already move slower than equities. But even then, when we're moving like molasses until the past couple months. So inside and up, it did inside bar reversal short right there. Right. So the past 2 quarters, it finally did its thing, took out that low. It actually played around here for a number of weeks, and then finally broke down, took out that pivot there, and finally went even further down. So on the monthly chart now, what you got is a outside inside that finally broke to the downside, and it's been taking a while to play out. Right, these are all monthly bars, so it's taken weeks to play out here. On the weekly chart, you see that this is a weekly chart, right? It's very, very choppy stuff. We know the direction is to the downside, especially when it starts breaking those outside insides on the monthly chart, but it just took time to play out. We finally get a few big down bars, but you can see this bar here constrained the price for 1, 2, 3, a whole month. That was your inside month there that we saw in the last chart. Then finally we have a fake to the upside, then a break to the downside, trapping those maybe guys who try to pick the bottom, and it's still fading down. Now we have a Momo down situation here, and we have a nice tight inside bar. So do we pop back up again? And if we do we get stuck back in here again with 1 week left of trading to go? Right, so that's the issue there. You're stuck inside that mother bar condition again. You may not do anything until next month. Okay, so that's TLT. But certainly that has been very, very conducive for financials rallying with the bond prices going down and yields going up. Let's talk about two more instruments, MGC, so gold futures, and then we'll wrap things up with Bitcoin. So here's our gold futures chart, and gold's been tricky. Gold, it's no lie, it has been a tricky chart. Even though we know the trend is to the upside, it's still very, very tricky because the ranges are super tight. Yeah, it's Momo up on the quarterly charts. We know the trend is to the upside. That has not been violated yet, right? But look, we had a whole quarter of consolidation, so 3 months of consolidation. So all of Q4 is an inside bar. And even the prior month there, even the prior quarter there, Q3, it was tight stuff. We had a big pop up there, but then it went inside, or it came back down again, and it basically just got super choppy. So for basically 2 quarters now, maybe 5 months, it has been very tricky trading on the gold product. Now on the monthly chart, you did have that outside inside break to the upside, but it came right back in again. So right now, it doesn't really pay to be trying to look for expansionary moves. It's actually, you want to be waiting for people to get really stopped out first, and the guys who are buying the breakouts, they're oftentimes the guys who are getting stopped out. So anyone who bought this breakout to the upside immediately, made a bit of money, but then came right back really, really fast. So outside, inside, and up, but back into the range again. Do you get outside this range this month? Maybe not. They may just close it inside this range and stay inside this bar's range here. And then maybe next month we have some progressive price action that pushes back up here. So long as this low doesn't get taken out next month in February, this outside inside pattern is valid to the upside. So long as this low here doesn't break below that low there, you're still long bias on the monthly chart. We know the quarterly chart's up, the monthly chart's showing up as well, but you got to time it, because on the weekly chart you're having chop in the sense that, I mean, chop's not the right word, but you're getting buyers who are getting stopped out when they buy breakouts, because sellers are selling the rips, and really the only way to really trade is to buy the rips, or sell the rips and buy the dips. So here, here's our outside bar and down, so Momo down. It looked like it was going to be something interesting, but when I took all that pivot high there, issues, you got this time for misalignment, right? So there's your monthly and quarterly open, and you're below that right now. It's red, right? So you're red on the month and quarter, and you had a green week here. So yeah, I think it's a tricky situation now with 1 week left, right? Because it's going to be difficult for this month not to be a red month, because we have that time for misalignment. So you could expect just a lot of chop. Could be a lot of chop as you're stuck inside that prior bars range. On the this weekly chart, you can see clearly inside this bars range. And what's the chances of you coming through back all this in one single week? No, it's gonna be tough. Yeah, tough. So a 2-day chart, you got the inside bar. That's something more actionable. What you might want to see here for the coming week is how this thing breaks. But even then, you can it's a tall order to try to get through this range again, especially when you got that monthly and weekly open in the way. Let me turn it on. Do I have that thing turned on? Yeah, I'm gonna turn that one on. There. So it is right here. That orange line. How to get above there? That's tricky. That's very, very tricky. Now, finally, BTC. I want to use the Bitfinex chart, and let's talk about this one here. So BTC is now, I think, in a very precarious place. So I started taking profits off my cryptos off. I started taking profits on my gainers, and I've been lightening up quite a bit. I've actually been lightening up going into this rally now, because now everything's going for BTC, right? And it's hard pressed to see how much better it can get at this point, because you're going right into highs. So you have a lot of news coverage on BTC. There's lots of people following it and the whole crypto space. So are we at the absolute top of this cycle? It's hard to say, but at this point it's very risky to take on new positions, because you are going right into highs. So on the monthly chart for BTC, let's just do this first. Let's do the monthly chart. You've had 4 consecutive months now of higher highs. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th consecutive month, and now we're living a bit of a shadow here, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you're going right into highs, right? So if I turn on my Bollinger Bands, if I can do that on this chart, let's see if there's enough data for it to do it. All right, I turned that on there. Let me turn off some of these other. If I'll turn off this, if I go log, does it help? Yeah, there you go. Turn off the log scale, so that's better. So yeah, you're going right into Bollinger Band highs now. So you're doing the Bollinger Band walk. You've been doing the Bollinger Band walk now for 1, 2. This is the 3rd consecutive month. You're well above the Bollinger Band highs. Okay, so this is by any stretch, you're above the standard deviations of what you typically see with price. And so that means you're stretched, and there's no reason why price can't go higher, but that means the buyers have to keep buying, because as soon as you break below that low, is there a risk that you come back outside the Bollinger Bands here? Like once you get a close above the Bollinger Band, you do not want to see a low get violated. If it does, you have a chance to pop outside the Bollinger Bands. So this thing comes all the way here, back into here, right? That means you're talking from a current price level of 32,500, you get right into this area here, 24,900, even down to here, 20,000 area. So that is a pretty significant, retracement. That's a $15,000 move there, maybe a $12,000 move there. That is quite a bit. So it's something you need to watch out for as we get into the new month, right? So you got 1 week left. The coming week here should be interesting to see. If it closes up here, then that's a lot safer for the sellers or for the buyers next month. But if you close and this thing next weekend is getting even down to here, that ends up looking like a shooting star. Recall what happened the last prior high, right? So when we had the highs here back in 2018, right? Can you see that's a similar Bollinger Band walk, right? So it's a similar Bollinger Band walk. Now, not all Bollinger Band walks signal the absolute top. Like if you look here, okay, so this is back in 2017. We had a Bollinger Band that failed here. Well, not failed, but it got extinguished. Well, because the low got taken out. But the buyers bought it right back again in the same month. So they can easily do that again and continue the Bollinger Band walk. But this was certainly a retracement, because when it took out that low here of 2046, it went all the way down to the 1826 area, right? So that's a pretty good pullback there. So you always want to watch out to see if you take out that low, because that's when the longer time frame charts are telling you that that price could be that the longer time frame price is no longer sustaining itself. Then finally, right, we had no lower lows all the way up until here, December, all right, and then January comes around. If you recall 2018, if you were trading cryptos at the time, January came around, we broke that low, right? So that low right there was the Bollinger Band walk, and then we basically at that point we collapsed. So that's something you need to watch out for, is that if we get into this situation here and come February we break that low, right, watch out, you're going to come right back in this area here, and anyone who got involved probably the last 2 months, 1-2 months, will probably get their stops tested, because those guys are in a precarious position here. If the price comes back down here, they may not have the conviction to stay with that trade. So watch out for that. This is what there's already been a sort of a warning shot thrown, and that's this right here. So you have the inside bar. So the question was, we had a nice Bollinger Band walk going here for multiple weeks. When does that Bollinger Band walk get broken? Right there. It broken. It popped outside the Bollinger Band now, broke below that low, and that triggers the inside bar and down. I started a short BTC. I'm not in a full position yet. I just started it. First short in BTC for a long time, but I do want to see, I wanted to get in, just establish a short there, and I will add to it when the price goes into my favor. Otherwise, I will get out. My last line in the sand is that high there, because if we go inside by reversal to the upside, I don't want to be short anymore. We take out this week's highs, I definitely don't want to be short anymore. I might even take it out even earlier and not wait for that pivot high to get taken out. But definitely that's the last line in the sand if you're short, because it can go a little bit higher, but it's getting tough once again. You have to get back up above the Bollinger Bands, and that's what makes it difficult, is that it becomes it's simply a supply demand phenomenon. Are there enough buyers left? Is there enough enthusiasm left to get the price back above those Bollinger Bands? Because we already know it's going right in the highs. There has to be even more significant macro news, some sort of storyline that's going to entice more buyers. Because otherwise, it looks like everyone who's anyone has bought some of it already. Because now you can see prices no longer being supported by these prior lows. They break below. So on a lower time frame, I would be looking to add here on the 2-day chart something easy like this. So maybe on the daily chart. So here, okay, so here's the prior week's low. It got taken out there on, this is Monday, right? 21st was that was Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday. Sorry, my dates are all off here. 21st was what? Thursday. Sorry, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Today's Saturday. Okay, so here, ideally, I'd love to see a higher high. Yeah, this can go inside bar up, and then maybe a fail here, and for the reversal here to start the new week and come back down again and restart this move, the resumption to the downside. But we still have one trading week left in January. We may just sit pretty here and stay in this range, and we keep this monthly chart green, all right, for the rest of the month, and then we'll see what happens with the February. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. Hoping to see a clear resolution of this inside bar and down situation here. Okay, so that's it for BTC. Actually, I want to bring up one more chart here, because it's been a while since we talked about it. The total chart. I haven't looked at this chart actually in a while, so this is going to be the first time I've looked at this in some time. This is the overall crypto total market cap chart. I want to take a quick peek at that. I want to see, how it's shaping up. And this is very interesting as well. It shows all the coins by market cap, and look at that. All right, so this is what you kind of want to see here. You got double inside bar right there on the draw the ranges there on the weekly chart, and so that's a clear delineation right there. Right, as a buyer seller, those are your points of interest. So do you have a double inside bar and up, or do you go inside bar and down, and that signals the end of this move to the upside, right? So that's, well, I'm not saying it signals the end, but certainly for this last swing, it would signal the end. Maybe you get a break down like that, and then the buyers can really step up again, do something like an inside bar reversal to the upside again. Maybe the game continues. But right now, you know, this is the area we're watching. That's the range. You break that range, watch out. Then it's up to the buyers to have to step up and defend, or you'll see lower prices. All right, that's a wrap for this week's video. Try to keep it around 30 minutes or even shorter. Hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, drop me a line at thetradingedge.org, or find me on YouTube and drop me a line in the comment section there. Have a great trading week. All the best and happy trading.